The year is 2011. Innistrad has released. Modern allows you to play cool cards like Splinter Twin. It's a golden era of Magic. Now it's 2013. Elementals roam the streets, being evoked left and right. And you just want to go back to that old feeling of Magic. You just want to blink a Thragtusk and feel something again. Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here, and today we are going to be playing Micah's Resto Thrag Fire modern deck list. Now that's a throwback name. So the reason that I went and talked about 2011 was that Innistrad block was kind of this golden era for Magic in my mind, like very seriously. It was a time that even I was excited about playing Standard because you got to do some various broken things. And I really mean Innistrad block here. I mean the whole thing, because a lot of the cards that we're going to talk about are from later portions of that block. When Thragtusk came out, it was kind of the great stabilizer. The aggro decks, want to gun you out of the game early. And when for 5 mana, you can gain 5 life while creating a decent sized body, that is a damning play versus a lot of aggro decks. Probably even by modern standards still. And when we get Avacyn restored and we get Restoration Angel and we gain the ability to blink that Thragtusk, not only gaining 5 more life, but also going and making a beast token along the way, it's crazy. And a large number of mid-range decks were built around this engine. And the name Resto Thrag Fire implies some fire. And the third piece of this name is Bonfire of the Damned. Now, this is not an exciting looking Magic the Gathering card, because if you have to cast this for the symbols in the top right corner, it's way below rate. When you think about a Pyroclasm effect that at 2 mana can deal 2 damage and wipe out smaller creatures, in order for this to deal 2 damage to your opponent's creatures, you've got to be paying 5 mana. Your Wrath of God effects usually cost 4 mana, just to kind of give you that comparison. But when you actually factually miracle this card, it is red and X. Now that's a very big difference. That is a crazy one-sided Wrath / Fireball. Now, what we're going to do today is attempt to update what was essentially a standard deck. And we're going to add in the cards that are broken by current modern standards and see if they can hold together this nostalgic boomer dream. The biggest thing that we're going to need to do here is make the mana work, because honestly, you don't get to play a turn 6 Restoration Angel blinking a Thragtusk safely in the current modern format. It's just way too aggressive. So we have 2 mana accelerants. We have Ragavan, Nimble, Pilferer, acceleration in the form of treasure, and Delighted Halfling as a mana dork here. We also have Wrenn and 6 to allow us to rebuy fetch lands and continue to make land drops. Our goal is to make it to the mid game, which honestly is probably going to feel like the end game, and start blinking creatures. Now, would we be better off just doing some sort of ephemerate, unearthed nonsense? Yeah, probably, because Rakdos Scam is the bar by which the modern format is currently evaluated, but we're going to see if we can get this to work. Now, we do have some pretty sweet blink targets that weren't initially around when Restoration Angel was printed, that being our elementals. And I wouldn't fault someone for trying to work more of them in the deck list, but we're going to play this as Micah submitted it. There has been very, very limited testing done with this, like single-digit matches. But Micah didn't drop any matches in testing, and we're going to see how it performs on a bigger stage here. I don't think I have much else to say. So if you end up liking this deck and you need to pick up any of the Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. And if you want to mess around with this deck, the video description has the link to my deck list on Moxfield. All right. I really hope this works. Okay, so I'm on the play. I can go turn 1 Delighted Halfling, turn 2 Ragavan while missing land drops. I don't think this one is going to work out. If I could lead on Ragavan on 1, it might be different, but I can't. Whereas this hand is perfectly fine. We'll keep this one, and I think I'm going to throw back a Wooded Foothills, assuming that my Planeswalker is going to allow me to get at least... Oh, fuck, this is not Wrenn and 6. Well, that's awkward. All right. And is much worse than I thought it was. Still would have kept, but would have kept the 4th land over the Planeswalker, I think. We're going to be very far behind curve here. We're still going to be very far behind curve, assuming my opponent just uses a removal spell on my Ragavan, but we are in okay shape if my opponent does not have a removal spell. I think I'd rather block with this than dash. I think I'd rather block with this than dash or force the removal spell. Like, I could get the first theoretical hit in with the Ragavan and accelerate towards Restoration Angel next turn. But in the times where my opponent doesn't have a removal spell, I think stopping their Ragavan is more important. I don't want my opponent to accelerate and just dump out more of their resources before I start getting to the big fatty boom booms in my deck. Damn. Alright. I am going to fetch this tri-land out of my deck so my opponent doesn't randomly hit it. Good news is my stuff is really expensive, so my opponent is unlikely to find a hit in the short term. What am I like in terms of basic lands here? 3 forests, 1 of the others. Let's grab a forest then. Drop a planeswalker. And we, unfortunately, are not Wrenn and 6, so we don't get to minus and paying Ragavan. This is just a look at, right? Okay. So the good news is I will have land drops 4 and 5 to start doing strong things. And Ragavan only triggers on combat damage to a player. And hopefully this is going this way. Nope. All right. There's another land, obviously, as we just looked at it. That's brutal. Is it getting... Oh, no, okay, it's not coming back. So that could have been worse. And then there's a Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Got it. So we can flash in a Restoration Angel mid-combat and take out one of these creatures. I wonder if our own deck is supposed to be playing Fable to accelerate towards this nonsense. Ragavan is discarded. So these are going to crash in. And then we do our Super Ambush Viper impression. Grab a basic. Loop Restoration Angel into play. I think I need to take out the Ragavan. Like, this making treasures on attack is very good, but I don't want my opponent to be hitting Restoration Angel-sized things. Land's great. Land is great. I will just save the life here. All right. We have gained 5 life, which is pretty huge. I think I will go ahead and battle. If my opponent lightning bolts a Thragtusk, like, it just makes a friend on the way out. Oh no. Graveyard. No. This dies. Or no, it leaves the battlefield. I knew this. I've played enough of this. Oh. Opponent needs the mana. We'll do a little blocky. That's fine. Take 3. And Reflection of Kiki-Jiki copy Thragtusk is disgusting. Yeah, conceptually like that. Sure. I still have a 3/3 body in play. Like, this is not that bad. Another Douthty Voidwalker. That much damage is spooky. I'm in a really awkward situation because, like, I want to be the beatdown, but my opponent has 6 to 9 points of evasive damage. I think I am just going to come out a little bit too slow here. Deal 1 damage to that Bowmaster. Dash Ragavan, force a trade on this. Or maybe save Ragavan. Every point of damage matters right now. Dash it in next turn. Dead to Lightning Bolt. Maybe I dash in now. Trading with a token doesn't feel the best. But I just don't think I'm winning a long game here unless Thragtusk is the top card of my deck. Bonfire of the Damned would be pretty cool as the top card of my deck. I'm not gonna lie to you folks. That would be hype. So, oh, right. How bad is this? Bad. Yeah. This is probably what my deck should be doing. So, like, this is 8 damage, and my opponent also makes a beast afterwards. Or they can deal 5 to me and kill my Renin 6. Yeah, Bonfire of the Damned as top card, please. Delighted Halfling. At this point, I am comfortable conceding because my opponent now just has this every turn. Yep. All right, Micah. I figured out what your deck should be doing. It took me 1 round, but now we've got it figured out. So these are probably the things that I'm thinking about. Tarmogoyf is probably not going to be at its best because my opponent is going to have Douthty Voidwalker. Maybe I need this to block early tokens, though. Or not early tokens, early aggressive creatures. You know, this walls your Bowmasters, walls your Ragavans. I don't want this. It feels like my cards are fine. My deck is just slow. Like, I'm somewhat interested in the Hollowed Moonlight, Veil of Summer sort of stuff. But Hollowed Moonlight is not active even when I'm on the play. Versus, like, turn 1 Reef and bring it back. Veil of Summer is. Feels like, at the very least, I want to make that substitution. Maybe I sub Tarmogoyf for another Endurance. You just don't have that many early plays. White count's pretty low for pitching a Solitude as well. And this doesn't protect my early creatures from, like, Lightning Bolt effects. I think I'm just going to go more Threat Dance. This is fine. All right. I think we're doing the modern thing and starting at 17 this time. Let's pay that life. Get a Mana Dork going. Then I can play a second one next turn while keeping Windswept Heath available for the Tri-land. Okay, so my opponent probably goes under me here. They can bring that back. So Resto down. Yeah, there's a Not Dead after all. Which if they went after one Resto, they're probably going after the other one as well. Yep, that's the plan. Dash Ragavan? Probably Dash Ragavan. I'm just thinking about whether or not I just want to grab a basic. I think I do. Go to 16. Grab basic planes. Let's dash this. Bash in with the Ragavan. Put opponent to 18. Just hit a land. As a reminder, Ragavan is a cast, not a play, so I didn't miss out on playing a land. Then we'll drop a Delighted Halfling and hope that my opponent doesn't Fury away both of my Mana Dorks to prevent me from Thragtusking next turn. Now, opponent is on 3 cards at this point. Grief does put you down cards quickly, but it's a lot on board and is pretty disruptive, so, like, don't view my opponent as being on 3 cards as like, oh, it's over. They've used so many resources and it's turn 2. All right, opponent opting not to attack here. So this is really awkward Because if my opponent has not dead after all and I lightning bolt this grief, I end up losing either the Ragavan or Thragtusk. So I think I just cast the Thragtusk this turn and try to get a pseudo time walk out of my opponent. And then we'll do Ragavan nonsense next turn. Alright, we might be seeing something like an end of turn Bowmasters. Terminate, sure. Still got a 3/3. Alright, opponent not willing to shock that in. Oh. Yeah, I'll reveal that. Okay. Again, the whole not dead after all thing could be awkward here, but I'm not going to not Miracle Bonfire of the Damned. This is a moderate X equals 3 bonfire. Okay, cool. So we lose a life to the Wicked Roll token. And then I get to crash in for 3. Well, you can't say we didn't do the thing in this league. Like, we've done Thragtusk nonsense, and we've miracled a bonfire in game 1. Mission success. Alright, so now I can, like, bolt that token, dash Ragavan. Okay. Yeah, we're doing stuff. Alright, bolt you. Dash you. And I think I'm just going to hit in for the extra point of damage rather than leaving Delighted Halfling back. I think we're just trying to end this one. Opponent's at 5. There's a Douthy Voidwalker, and that's not a legendary creature, so, you know, you can't get that black currently. And I'm not going to use my treasure token to dash because we do have incredibly expensive cards in this deck list, and especially if my opponent like casts a Fury or something like that, and I lose a decent portion of my board. I want to have that extra mana around. Oh, there's another not dead after all there. I'm going to assume that was drawn after I did my nonsense. Yeah, I think we're just going to call this good. On the draw, it's going to be a little harder for us to get out of the early game. I was about to say, as something like a Ragavan can often go unchecked, but we're pretty good at answering Ragavan with this hand. This one's strong. Resto Thrag Fire beats Scam. Headline of the century. Shouldered the apocalypse. That's a scary card. Alright, I've lost out on Lightning Bolt. Sure. And Ragavan. Okay. I will Lightning Bolt that. And I believe I am just lightning bolting that at sorcery speed, so my opponent can't bring it back with one of the, like, not dead after all type effects. My opponent could then dash in another Ragavan, so it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. But here we are. We don't want to play Tarmogoyf until it is outside of lightning bolt range. And I would love to probably play double Delighted Halfling in my next turn cycle. Yep, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Played around one thing, got hit by the other. Alright, they're not casting that Restoration Angel. And honestly, I didn't really want to draw that yet. Thragtusk, sure. I want to play double Delighted Halfling here. I also need white mana, though. Which means I am gonna take a little heat here. The play that I am about to make is going to be bad versus Fury, because this is just 4 toughness split across 2 bodies, but is going to be much better against, like, Orcish Bowmasters than playing out a Ragavan would be, and if I... Fuck. That's so frustrating. Alright. Can you bring it back with your last card? No. Okay. So it's just dash Ragavan to worry about, which is still a thing to absolutely worry about, to clarify. Like, that is still just very, very, very good. But now we're hoping to just, like, play out a 3/4 Tarmogoyf. Opponent taking my Restoration Angels off the top of my deck. Appreciate it. The universe does have a sense of humor. And we'll drop a Tarmogoyf to hopefully wall that creature. And then hopefully I can do some stuff with my own Ragavan, find some more land drops, or make some treasure tokens, and get towards, like, this relatively strong endgame. So that's a treasure token. That is a grief. Sure. Oh, that's good, because I'm not very good at blocking that right now. My opponent just takes my accelerating play. Math checks out. I've got a land drop. I just have to hold this back, which is frustrating because I would like to be attacking here, but I don't get to do that. And hopefully I just draw like an untapped land that does not cost me life. Dalthy Voidwalker. That means it's a little harder to make Tarmogoyf bigger. That's also an evasive creature. Bonfire for 2? Damn. Okay. I mean, that is a play that allows me to double block the Grief. But I am on a very real clock from this Dalthy Voidwalker. Let's Endurance. And I don't want to nuke any graveyards right now, because Tarmogoyf is a thing. Double block for menace purposes. Well, go down to 5. All right, there's the Ragavan played out. Sure. All right. Well, that's certainly not bad. So is the only way that I'm realistically winning by hitting the 5th mana for Thragtusk next turn? Because if that's the case, I just run in 6+, Windswept Heath fetch here, which I think is what I'm doing, rather than pinging and killing the Ragavan. I'll grab that, play that. Does shrink the Tarmogoyf. The land will go back into the graveyard momentarily, hopefully. I think I leave back the 2nd creature, rather than try to push some small amount of damage here. Okay, yeah, opponent fetches, Tarmogoyf regrows to a 3/4, and is now outside of Lightning Bolt range. But that wasn't something that I could always just know was going to happen. Alright, it is coming at me to just keep me on the 2-turn clock. Now, I need a land that is untapped and does not damage me, which is asking for a lot, because there's not many of them. I guess we could also Bonfire of the Damned. That would work. Oh, it is a literal miracle. Target you. 4x is 3. Okay, now, do I die to Dashed Ragavan? Yes. Am I going to leave a blocker back for Dashed Ragavan? No. 1 damage to you. Attack for 6. Opponent needs to draw a good card right here, or the game is over. This is the greatest deck of all time. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Just the best place to host your deck lists online, just full period. It is. And I can say lots of nice things about them, or I can just show you that I have 328 deck lists on this site, and I think that's about the best endorsement that I can give them. All right, here we go. We don't have a lot in terms of gas here, but I have 2 pieces of early interaction for creature-focused decks, or a prismatic ending for an expedition map. And this is modern, so I can be lazy and just fetch right now. Ooh, Tarmogoyf's not bad. So, goodbye map. Hello, land drop. Definitely going to be scared of what my opponent is capable of doing. Their endgame is going to be comparable or better than mine in terms of just raw value. Alright. More Urza lands. Not the most traditional kind, but more Urza lands. Let's just grab a land. Alright. I can now answer both construct tokens. That's the good news here. This is a surface level 2/3 Tarmogoyf. It's effectively a 3/4 because I can send a lightning bolt to graveyard at any moment. This is Tower Power Plant. Urza Saga can find another map to get a mine going as well. Let's do that. We'll attack on in. I assume my opponent won't chump block here for a whopping 2 life. Alright. So this is a 1/1. I'll let my opponent make their second one. And then I will start blasting. Oh no. Guess I don't need to immediately respond then. It's a chromatic sphere. So that gets them to Tron. Sorry, I have a camera rattling. I'm gonna have to do some adjustments in a second. So my camera angle just changed, and I apologize for that. I think I'm just gonna send this bolt upstairs. Just immediately in response, lower life total while I can. And then they get protection from everything, and they get to start drawing cards while having Tron. Life's bad. Life's bad. Alright. Let's grab a mana source, play a bit of our endgame, and we'll just see how bad this next turn cycle is. I'm going to take a second and adjust this camera. Okay, that looks about right. The opponent's at 14, facing down roughly 10 power, but they've got 10 cards in hand with 7 or more mana. Emphasis on the more. Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. Walking Ballista, honestly, also fine. This turn went much better than anticipated. So get out Wormcoil Engine. Get in 10 points of power. Although my opponent might block and then ping down this Solitude, which is exactly what's happening. It does grow the Tarmogoyf to 6 power, but, you know, the Tarmogoyf didn't get through this turn. Alright, opponent's at 13. And gets to draw a lot of cards off the One Ring. Ugh. Okay, yeah. So we got protection from everything again. This is fine. Make your green mana. Okay. That's Olamog the Ceaseless Hunger. I'm probably dead to that next turn. I think that exiling both of my creatures is just game over. 3, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Alright, and they're just going to plus that to defend Karn. That's reasonable. Take some ETB tapped land out of the deck. Opponent does have to discard. Yeah, I unfortunately think we're just done to an Ulamog. Opponent's got enough mana for it. Like, just exiling these 2 permanents, not to mention any other further card draw or Karn shenanigans, just buries me. We did not outrace this deck, and we're not going to be very good at outracing this deck. And this destroys, in the one where Ring is indestructible. So I'm probably looking at this stuff here. Not super interested in this effect. Not super interested in this effect. Bonfire hits Planeswalkers and is still a fireball from hell. We'll think about that. Prismatic Ending's not a very good card. Like, sometimes it hits an expedition map, and that is, like, literally exactly what I need. But, like, using it on a chromatic sphere or something like that doesn't exactly feel great, and we don't have the 4th color to get something like Karn or the One Ring. So I think, despite the fact that this has targets and can do things, I'm going to get rid of those, play my moons, and then find a way to sneak a couple of these into my deck. I probably, like, cut one piece of top end for 1, and then just, like, pull 1 green producing land. I don't want to pull a forest because I'm boarding in Blood Moons. Turn 2 Blood Moon. Keep a Reno. I probably knock myself off a color. I assume I just play the Blood Moon as quickly as possible. I'm going to keep this fetch land in case I do wiggle myself into a spot where the white mana is feasible. This is not a true Birds of Paradise. It makes colored mana for legendary spells specifically. That's not exactly what I wanted to draw, but okay. This is now a fetch shock situation to get the red. And I will just drop a Blood Moon. Now we just have Huntmaster of the Fells next turn. And we hope that does good things. Sure. Hers is mine. Okay, yep. Renin 6? I don't think that's better this turn than just putting a threat into play. So our Huntmaster is going to give us a decent amount of onboard power, and sometimes it'll end up flipping. Not all the time. Sure. Is playing Rhine and 6 better than 3 damage this turn? Not really, it just gets me a mountain back. Alright, I'll reveal. Alright, Super Lightning Bolt. Opponent's at 17, down to 13 from there. Sure. I assume second basic forest. Nope, Urza's Tower. They are working towards Tron. And then maybe they have, I don't know exactly what their suite is going to look like, some sort of Force of Vigor effect. A Boseiju. Yes, I will use this ability. I'm just going to pick up the Jetmir's Garden. I might need additional mana. Oblivion Stone. This is 5 to crack. Got it. And the Transform. 2 damage to target opponent or Planeswalker. Got it. No spells were cast last turn. Okay. Let's get the value out of my onboard cards. Swing in for that 5. Puts my opponent to 8, which effectively means that they're at 5. And we're very close to having lethal. Beyond that, 2 damage to you. There's no creature you control. So this is 6. We've got some cycling action. Sure. So now this is going to transform back, giving me another token. But, you know, Karn the Great Creator. Sure. Oblivion Stone occurs. Owen's Crying is fine. Finding another tower. Another Oblivion Stone. You are already dead. So we'll just fetch. We can grab a basic. Cast the Resto. Lightning Bolt your face. And Resto swings in for the remaining 3 points of damage for lethal. Okay, there's the concession. Do I want Force of Vigor as a way of dealing with Oblivion Stones? Oblivion Stones are a colorless way to get rid of Blood Moons. I guess I probably need at least an out to something like an Ensnaring Bridge off of Karn. I probably need a Prismatic Ending or Force of Vigor. And I think this card is more reasonable on the draw as well. Let's maybe not try to live the Bonfire of the Damned Dream on the draw. And just physically board in another body. So I could Boseiju a land with this opener. But I really think I am trying to Blood Moon. We're going to risk this one. It's incredibly good with a red source as a draw. Now again, it's not like Blood Moon is just instantly game over or anything like that, but it is one of my best tools. There's a red source. Never punished. And we'll just see if it's fast enough. Okay, cool. Opponent did not just have natural immediate Tron. That's nice. Okay, they just sacrificed that immediately to draw their card. So we will make our land drop. And I think I'm just going to take the chip damage at the face rather than plussing to increase loyalty by 1. It's only something like a Walking Ballista where like the loyalty becomes super relevant. Oh god, this is so good. Yes, I accept. Yes, this is fine. I get to blow this up. And yet another basic. Cool. So we will Moon. I'll plus this time. And I get to follow this up with a decent threat, and I have something for a Wormcoil Engine. It's just going to be like, can we outrace the resources of the One Ring? And it's a little dubious. There's Karn, sure. Finding Haywire Might as an answer to Blood Moon. That's annoying. Let's play this untapped without paying any life while I can. Make my 2/2. And I think we ping Karn's loyalty here. Yeah, but these colorless cards are doing some serious work. Like, our Blood Moon traded for Urza's Saga already, and it's going to trade for Haywire Might. Like, that's okay ratio-wise, but my opponent is going to bury me with the One Ring. Okay. Alright, Karn. Finding Phyrexian Metamorph. Sure. That's certainly cute. Alright. And my opponent will do the whole Haywire Might Blood Moon thing. Sure. Just debating whether or not I actually want to remove Huntmaster of the Fells over there. I think the answer is no. Like, I think I'm just plussing this with no targets and dropping a new Huntmaster of the Fells of my own. That way, if for some reason these things flip, I accumulate more value. But I imagine that I literally or effectively die on my opponent's turn. Like, Oblivion Stone effects are so good right now, and Eldrazi's so good right now. Like, my opponent has 12 cards in hand. I think I have to sandbag the Solitude to play around something like a Wormcoil Engine. Okay, there's the mine. And now our worst fears can come true. Alright, sure. Alright, yeah, mana towards cycling is mana that's not killing me. What's your templating? Each non-land permanent, so that will destroy planeswalkers. Got it. And my opponent discards some cards. Sure. Obviously very strong. This is land drop pass holding up 2 flash creatures. Opponent is taking a lot of damage from the One Ring, but I don't really expect that that's a problem. Like, they have 8 cards in hand. Another copy of the One Ring solves this problem. Anything that's a 2 or 3 turn, or I guess 2 turn clock solves this problem. Yep. Yeah, so now my flash creatures don't even get to do any damage. Yep. Sure. Awkward. Well, I can remove that so my opponent doesn't go ham with it, but then they just kill my removal spell in response. I accept, because I can't just let my opponent have removal spells sitting on board. Oh, they just let me exile it. Cool. No green cards in my entire deck, so let's just fetch one of these out. I played the One Ring. They're at the point where they're discarding removal spells. Not great. Uh-huh. Obviously, this is bad. Finding Sundering Titan, which blows up 3 of my lands. This is enters or leaves the battlefield. So if I blink this, sorry, if I exile this thing, I just lose literally all of my lands. So I think at this point, like, we can kill the Karn. I can kill the Sundering Titan. I can hit my opponent for 6, bring them to 8, and then the O-Stone just leaves me with nothing. That's fine. We're not beating that. Okay, I have kept a slow opening hand. My opponent has mulliganed to 5. We'll see what my opponent is up to. Looks like Scam. Okay. So, not dead after all occurs. Fury's first trigger does nothing. Evoke trigger goes on the stack. We will now Endurance it. And my opponent has 1 card left in hand. Good stuff. And the fact that our hand is slow was offset by the fact that we randomly had a card in our hand that invalidated an early Scam play. That's good. Got the garden here. And we're just kind of hoping to just make land drops and cast all these cards that are in my hand. Some amount of my opponent's cards are currently dead or low functioning. Okay, cool. There is another land drop. The next turn, we just have Huntmaster of the Fells into Huntmaster of the Fells, probably into Thragtusk or Solitude at that point safely. I'm at 13. Ragavan's cool. We're not interested in that right now, though. It's Huntmaster time, baby. And splitting this over 2 bodies is very good. The incidental life gain here, also pretty relevant to just not dying to the shadow creature. Yeah, that's fine. Are you going to make your own Huntmaster? You're going to make your own Huntmaster. I don't have a white card to do any Solitude nonsense. Sure. You may have a Huntmaster. All right, would I like to Solitude a creature immediately or just play my own Huntmaster? I think I want to Solitude. Basic. Don't have... No, this is fine. Let's Solitude. Get the Huntmaster. I'm trying to drag this game on. I'm not going to push damage here. I'm just going to leave my wolf token back to trade with an attacking wolf token if my opponent does attack with it. They do not. That's fine. Go to 10. Opponent's curved out pretty darn well. I'm just playing out good old Thragtusk here. I think I'm just playing out good old Thragtusk. Opponent's Doughty Voidwalker is currently very good. Now with 2 creatures safely back, let's do this. My Thragtusks and like Huntmasters and stuff are so bad against Doughty Voidwalker. Like my opponent gets a couple looks at removal spells here. They don't use the ability. Okay, but that's attacking, so that's great for me. What are we working with here? Like an Orcish Bowmasters or something? God, combat's so awkward for me right now. Because if this Thragtusk or Solitude dies in combat, my opponent can just do the whole Doughty Voidwalker thing. And it's very good. I mean, I'm just like dashing Ragavan. Very bad if my opponent's last card is Bowmasters. Solitude attacks also a little awkward. Active player, non-active player stuff also gets weird if multiple Huntmasters get involved. I'm going to try to dash the Ragavan, though. I think dashing the Ragavan and following up with Huntmaster could be pretty good. Let's try to overwhelm my opponent here. It is Bowmaster. Okay. Not the best for me. We're hoping to kind of clear things out and then stabilize. So we'll double Delighted Halfling here. All right. Oh, okay. Not quite how I thought that was going to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana, unfortunately. So send them, send them. Opponent takes 5. We'll drop Huntmaster. And we're not in the best shape. That's gross. Yep. Opponent will Solitude and remove my Huntmaster. And continue to beat me down. Restoration Angel is you control, notably. Attack with everything. Restoration Angel, whatever my opponent blocks with Solitude. And hope that that gets me there. It's awkward if they block a token. Good. Damn it. Yeah, so like this just goes back to exile if I let it go. These Doughty Voidwalkers bury me. Like I can blink my token, or I can just let this go. Was that a high enough life total that like a bonfire doesn't win from here? I guess I'll keep playing, but I think I'm dead. Yeah, their engine on their own doesn't outvalue me, but their engine copying my cards is brutal. Yep. Now, like, not even a bonfire probably does it. Sure. I'm at 6. Yeah. Got a 5. Got some red source. Guess put this into play. That's not bonfire. We're dead. Yeah, like my creatures being so good is a huge liability versus Doughty Voidwalker. And it's not like I have a lot of extra removal to board in here. He lost on my opponent's Mold of 5. Handily. I guess I could have removed their Doughty Voidwalker over Huntmaster of the Fells, but if we end up in a like pass the turn situation with multiple copies of Huntmaster of the Fells, I think that ends up being very awkward for me. Like they pass their turn, their Huntmaster flips before mine does, they fight my Huntmaster, and I also end up in a terrible spot. Ugh. I think I subbed this out for this. I want another copy of this. Maybe that's not true. Like, I still need all this top-end stuff to do the things that my deck is designed to do. This is a 6-card hand. Bonfire of the Damned isn't really a card here. I'm light on land drops. I would rather just keep a more land-heavy hand. Okay. In Ragavan we trust. We'll keep this and pitch the second Thragtusk. And hope that Ragavan is capable of great violence. Alright. Take Numa. Losing that Ren in 6 is brutal. Oh, I lost the second Ragavan. Am I getting Furied? No. Send in Ragavan. Opponent's at 16. Undying Evil. Not interested in that. We drop Ren in 6. Plus, return Windswept Heath. Fetch. I think my life total is relevant enough that I don't shock here. And I just grab the basic. We're somewhat far ahead here. A Fury could be incredibly bad, especially if there's an Undying Evil effect involved. They can, like, Fury, junk Ren in 6, and then... yeah. Okay. I mean, good game. I don't know what you want me to do about that. Like, this is just 8 power. I'm dead in 2 swings with no recourse. Okay. Alright. Easy mulligan. This one is fine. We'll probably just throw back 1 land. Mountain Ragavan on 1. Forest Ren and 6 on 2. Have 1 fetch land left over. Probably throw back a land. Not Scam. I'm happy to be playing against Not Scam. Cards like Huntmaster are probably going to be really good here. I think I am going to opt to Lightning Bolt over Ragavan in this turn cycle. Lightning Bolt always kills Goblin Guide. Ragavan sometimes kills Goblin Guide. And Goblin Guide also might be kind enough to draw us another card. Sure. What do we get? Ooh, we draw a card. And that is why we did not Sorcery Speed Removal Goblin Guide. Lava Spike is fine. Lava Spike is fine. Lightning Bolt's not bad either. Most of the damage is done in increments of 3. I think I'm going to cast this rather than dash this. But this is a distraction. Like, if a spell goes at this instead of at my face, that is gaining 3 life for 1 red mana, and we're happy with that. And if this connects and I get to Huntmaster next turn... oh, fuck. That's so good. Alright. So much for my Huntmaster nonsense. Fetch. Garden. Take 1. Roiling Vortex is a problem. Send them. Opponent's at 16. I just revealed a land. This is a really awkward spot because in order to put enough pressure on my opponent that I realistically kill them, I do have to just play this out this turn, I think. But then my opponent can just blank the life gain trigger. Main deck Roiling Vortex is brutal here. But hopefully my 6 onboard power is enough when coupled with Lightning Bolt to beat my opponent. They're at 14 after their own trigger. I, in theory, can die to just burn spell, Roiling Vortex trigger. You gain life on the backside? No, right? No, it's damage on the backside. Alright, there's a card draw. Alright. I'm at 9. I transform this. I'm just making it so that I can't gain life. That's fine. And some damage at my opponent's face. Choose target opponent or planeswalker. Choose target creature. Okay. Didn't click through properly the first time. Sure. This is 8 incoming damage. Putting my opponent to 4. I'm hoping for a burn spell. Very nice. 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. Notably, I guess I didn't need that, right? Because I just have Lightning Bolt plus Ren and 6 as 4 damage. I'm very happy to win game 1 here. I don't have a lot of cards that I can realistically consider. My top end is really good if I get there. I wish I had more early game removal or some other like early game life gain or something. I just have to hope in one of the two games I don't get run over. I don't want this. And then I like just have to think about how much do I want to hedge against Roiling Vortex. I don't think I'm going to play Bonfire of the Damned for this game. I think I'm going to fill with some creatures that can block and start getting aggressive early and then play about 2 or 3 more cards that can answer Roiling Vortex. I'm just trying to decide if I want to do that on a land or on a spell. Force of Vigor isn't always free. And the things that I would be exiling are either large bodies or life gain cards, largely. I think I want this at the thing that costs less mana most of the time. I'm not 100% sure on that. This has a removal spell and a mana accelerant, as well as a life gain card. This is fine. I don't know that I would go so far as good, because I currently have to shock for white mana if my opponent plays out something like a Goblin Guide or a Monastery Swiftspear. Yep. So this is not my ideal, but it's what I'm working with. All right. You get to take advantage of the fact that I start at 17 life. I accept, but this Monastery Swiftspear is likely to deal a very respectable chunk of damage to me if I let it go unchecked. I'm probably playing Delighted Halfling next turn over Wrenn and 6, and just getting a tapped land out of the way. All right. Bam. Bam. Don't pay the life. We don't have it, but we're now representing Huntmaster next turn. And if Delighted Halfling soaks up a Lightning Bolt effect, we're good with that not going towards my dome, because I'm working towards Thragtusk here. Not looking for more land drops. Green, red. Like, do I even plus on the land? I have 3 land drops in hand. I might maybe send 1 at dome. Bam. Make a land drop pass. I don't know exactly whether or not I have to worry about getting Blood Mooned. I think I'm going to play around it. It feels free or free adjacent to do so. Suspended Rift Bolt. Got it. Second Suspended Rift Bolt. Oh. Please, please, please. Let me draw Huntmaster of the Fells. A Restoration Angel. Which may be a chump blocker. We shall see. Alright. 1 damage to you. So this is 6 incoming damage at my face that I can't do anything about. And Monastery Swiftspear is going to get big. This is a 3/4. I'm at 5. Restoration Angel, again, probably on chump block duty here. A white removal spell that can get Restoration Angel out of play here kills me. Yeah. So any spell means that I am dead. My opponent might not have anything, because they should have just killed me while I was tapped out if they had something. You're telling me there's a chance. We'll plus on a land here, and I think I'm just going to hold this land in play and not play Delighted Halfling. 2 burn spells to the face has me dead. Opponent has 3 cards in hand. Searing Blaze. Real good. Do get a beast. Okay. Thragtusk. Lightning Bolt. Dead to anything here. I probably hold up Restoration Angel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I probably hold up Restoration Angel and Lightning Bolt. We do fire on in for the damage. What was that? 14. Let's make it 13. And pass. Oh. Sure. Let's attempt a Restoration Angel. I'm not going to blink that one. I guess I don't need to play this Lightning Bolt yet. Dash a Ragavan, you say. That's probably a reason to bolt this now. Let's take that out. Attempt the dash on Ragavan. And I think we have to go all in. Like, there's a very good chance my opponent is just holding lethal in hand. Deflecting Palm. Okay, so they just do that. Prevent the Restoration Angel damage and redirect it to me. That'll do. That's, I guess, a good one to know about. I can consider Bonfire a little bit more when I'm on the play, but I think I just need consistent working cards rather than the high roll of Bonfire just closing the game out when it's close. So I am not the biggest fan of this hand. I need more mana to operate to get to this whole Thragtusk stuff, but if I count Ragavan as a mana dork, then some portion of the time this is on 3 or more starting mana. I do have to shock for a red-white land so that I can play Prismatic Ending as an answer to an initial creature, in case Ragavan does not live. Alright, let's fetch. Do the red-white thing, and throw the Ragavan out there. See if it gets removed, or if my opponent starts on an aggressive thing of their own. Goblin Guide. Sure. Thragtusk on top. I need Ragavan as a mana dork. I am willing to take the 2 damage and then Prismatic Ending away the Goblin Guide. Or potentially use one of my opponent's own cards to remove Goblin Guide. Oh, a Lightning Bolt. You don't say. I will take that free value, make my land drop, and pass. We're working towards 5 mana Thragtusk. See what my opponent's got here. Searing Blaze could be pretty good. Same general effect. That one doesn't deal damage to my face, though, which is great. We will hold up Endurance. I don't know that I actually want to cast it, but I might not have a real choice. Especially if my opponent plays a haste creature that I can just eat. I'm super happy. I might just need to play it for the sake of pressuring my opponent's life total. Like, I am at 9 already. And my opponent doesn't currently have something that I can Prismatic Ending. I don't think they use their graveyard for anything. So we'll leave those there because I have a Tarmogoyf in my deck. The universe has a sense of humor. Alright. Yep. Well, I desperately need the lands, but this damage stings. Huntmaster of the Fells. Okay, I mean, if we lose this one because there were no reasonably costed cards on top of my library, like, I accept that that is the cost of building my deck in this fashion. Goodbye, Goblin Guide. We're not playing around haste creatures. We are just sending it here. I can't give my opponent time. Sure. Happy to see that. Not happy to see that. It does mean that I have some slight defenses versus a haste creature. I might just be sending it upstairs. Not this turn cycle, though. Okay. Great. So let's hit my opponent to 9. Difference between 6 and 7 is a horrifying difference. But I don't know that I get to care about that. We'll see. Maybe I get to care about that. Opponent's dead in 2 endurance attacks. 4 damage to each player is spooky. Yep. So I can hit my opponent to 1 there with Lightning Bolt, but that doesn't do it. Okay. We have an okay opening hand. Counting Bonfire of the Damned as a dead card, at least for the time being. This is a relatively resilient hand in that, like, I can just keep getting land drops. Oh, that's really good for me. I can Wrenn and 6 minus on that. Get our Jetmir's Garden. We go bam, Wrenn and 6, and take out the pirate. Now I hope not to have to dedicate mana next turn to Wrenn and 6. Like, Lightning Bolt on Wrenn and 6 is quite strong here. But you don't let a Wrenn and 6 go unchecked if you can stop it. So, you know. Good stuff. Technically not a Lightning Bolt, but nevertheless really good. And now there's just an onboard creature that can pressure this next Ren and 6, which I was hoping wouldn't happen. I do unfortunately have to just play the Ren and 6, I think. I just need the land drop more than anything else here. And this is the only thing that allows me to take multiple game actions. Turn Arid Mesa. Gonna fetch. I'm shocking because I need green. Probably get the second red. Or if I do have to cast a Bonfire of the Damned for X is 1. We'll kind of see how combat goes here. Sure. They like what they found. Bone Crusher Giant is in exile. All right. So that is just coming at me instead of at Ren and 6. I'll take that damage then. Yeah, I'll take that damage. Go to 13. If Dash Ragavan is successful, I can also hardcast Endurance afterwards. I kind of just want to hardcast Endurance, ping Dragon Rage Channeler, and then just play Ragavan out. Nuke your graveyard. That's an X1. Just sorcery speed, cast a Ragavan. Sure. Oh, there's green in there too. Is this a questing druid format as well? Is that what that green is for? All right, Unholy Heat's fine. Bonfire of the Dam for X is 4. No? I think I just cast Huntmaster. I don't know. My opponent could have an actual counterspell up this turn, in which case not giving them a Huntmaster is perfectly reasonable. All right. This is a glorified Lightning Bolt, but I'm just doing it to play around a counterspell. That's maybe not the ideal counterspell for me here, but that's fine. So drop this, play this, battle. Opponent's at 10. All right, we're chilling. From the look of things, I don't think I have to worry about getting Blood Mooned in game 1. Red. Probably don't need to think about this decision that much. Do I make it uncounterable? I don't really care if it gets countered, honestly. If my opponent uses mana to answer Ragavan, that's mana that's not answering Huntmaster. So let's just regular old dash it. Yep. Get that land back. Do this. I am just going to cast my Huntmaster pre-combat. I just don't want things to get weird and my opponent to randomly bolt the Delighted Halfling after I leave it back. All right, we gain some life. We have a powerful effect in play. Activated Ren and 6, attack for 3. Opponent's on 7, facing down lethal damage, plus a bonfire that they don't know about. Okay, it is a questing druid deck. Lightning Bolt revealed. Okay, there's a Lightning Bolt. Is what, 3, 4, 5, 6 damage plus a Ren and 6 activation. Looks like my opponent is dead. Not counting the bonfire that's just in my hand in addition. Ping you. Okay, so we are playing against a Delver style deck. Again, as I've talked about a handful of times, I don't have additional removal here. I think holding up Veil of Summer for my more expensive cards is tough. I think I'm just like not going to board a lot. Like I'll board 2 copies of Endurance and that'll probably be about it. I wish I had more exile-based removal, because those druids can get big. Boarded this out every round, I think. Let's continue to do that. Let's get another Endurance here, probably by chopping a bonfire. Yeah, I've got Ragavan into Endurance into Huntmaster. This is perfectly reasonable. Okay, cool. I'm glad we're not facing down a turn 1 Ragavan. That is top. Sure. I've got to decide what I'm doing about this Ragavan. If I just play it out on turn 1, my opponent's better at answering it, but then I have the potential of playing turn 2 Endurance. Or I could just get my ETB tapped Jetmir's Garden out of the way early. I think I would like to live the dream of casting my cards ahead of curve. I don't know that sitting back is a good idea when a large Murktide Regent is a thing that I might have to deal with. Sure. 3 card types in graveyard. A fetch land would be a 4th. That's not a removal spell color. So there's some good news here. Awkwardly, there's no instant in here. I guess it's possible that this Dragon Rage Channeler could grow immediately. We're trading. I'm happy with that, because that could have gone much worse for me. Let's take this land drop. We're hoping a Murktide Regent doesn't happen right now. I don't think it's worth hemorrhaging my Endurance and my Huntmaster to try to stop that. But we're probably hoping to cast an upkeep Endurance in my opponent's next turn. Or I could wait till end step. Safer to wait till end step now that I've drawn that. But like this feels like actual factual counterspell, which I would like to play around. So I'm not going to do it upkeep. Like, my plan here is Endurance, let Endurance get countered, resolve Huntmaster, and then have Solitude for a potential Murktide Regent. Alright. Successfully baited out the counterspell. Let's get a Huntmaster going. We'll play around a Blood Moon this game. Do you have something for this? And that something could be like a lightning bolt this time. Stern Scolding. Alright, was not expecting that one. Okay. I don't think I am playing like End Step Solitude or anything like that. I think this game just kind of slows down a little bit in the short term. Bolt's fine. I don't care about the Delighted Halfling. I've already got enough mana to cast the top end of my cards. That's fine. Sure. Yeah, we're playing Drago. And we're going to continue to play that game. For sure. My opponent didn't grab another basic there. I feel like I have to worry less about a Blood Moon now. I'm just going to pull ETB tapped lands out of my deck. That will cost me life later. Note that I'm not willing to use this Solitude as just an attacker here. Like, this is very specifically a removal spell for one of my opponent's better creatures. It's awkward that, like, this is my only thing that answers a Murktide Regent. Yuri. Sure. Okay, that temporarily loses all abilities because of Dress Down. Until your next end step, which is right now. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to cast Solitude and start attacking. Again, super awkward for Murktide Regent-based reasons, but I might need to put some pressure on my opponent. I am not going to put pressure on my opponent. I think I just lose to a Murktide Regent-style card so hard right now that I need to play around it. And maybe that's folly on my end. We are good at drawing lands. I have bonfires in my deck right now. Yes. Not the full set, but I've got some. Alright. And we continue the game of take lands out of our deck. I'm going to grab a forest to just keep some different kinds of fetchables in there. I'll reveal Bonfire of the Damned. Probably play it around Spell Pierce. 5 damage is still pretty good. Like it's a Lava Axe. Actual factual counterspell. I accept. Brazen Borrower is fine. I will Prismatic Ending that next turn. Sure. Now there's actually a decent number of threats in play. Still drawing lands. Alright, let's ending this like so. Play out a Stomping Ground. Last turn. I guess we cave now. And try to save the 3 life. Yep. Stern Scolding's damn good. First time I've seen that one. Alright, I'm at 7. Okay. Do you have another actual counterspell? Because this is pretty damning if you don't. Well, that's pretty good. That countered the most important part of the Thragtusk. And this doesn't outrace my opponent right now because I get the first attack. And Unholy Heat while the dress down is out. Respectfully. Respectfully. I'm mad. I'm at 4 life. Draw another Thragtusk. Oh. Well. Once more. With gusto. Hell yeah. That's big. Now my opponent still gets the first attack here. So, like, the Thragtusk did not fully swing the game. But it was exactly the card I need, and now hopefully we can draw some sort of Restoration Angel type card, blink this, and do gross things. Let's send in the Thragtusk. Unholy Heat. Opponent very much has Delirium. That was a potent fog. We'll run in 6. Okay. Opponent's cards lining up relatively well versus mine here. I could draw a Bonfire. I could draw another Thragtusk. I could draw a Huntsmaster. We've got options, but my draw needs to be live. It's another Thragtusk. This is making up for all of those turns of just absolutely bricking. But what do you want me to say? We are forced to another game. Maybe my opponent's deck doesn't have Murktide Regent. Like, we are down to 27 cards here. Like, there's, like, it feels like that should be in there given the rest of the shell, but I just haven't seen one. Maybe I want Veil of Summer. It's just so incredibly slow. And I want to be playing things on curve. Like, do I want to cut a live spell like Bonfire for Veil? Maybe. I don't really feel great about it. This is fine. It's not better than fine. It's just fine. I think a Ragavan start is better than this, but I don't think this is worth mulliganing. I probably end up shocking myself with some land at some point. I think this is a stomping ground. Pay the life to run out the Halfling. The Halfling's not exactly great here. Is it dead? It's dead. Means I get the tapped Temple Garden out of the way this turn. And then we're holding up Bolt. Sure. That's not a bad draw. It gives me something to do in this turn cycle. You may seek the beast. Revealing Bauble Delta. Do I want to just put an Endurance into play uncounterably right now? I think so. Grab a basic forest. And just sneak this in under my opponent's pile of counter spells. How many bonfires are currently in my deck? None. Okay, so my fetch was correct. Okay, EI is fine. Feels like an awkward time to cast EI when you already have a land drop to make from exile. Okay. Sure. That's all fine. I think I will probably just sorcery speed play a Restoration Angel, because that should play around most of my opponent's removal. Okay, sure. Take your card. Or sorry, not removal. Counter spells, rather. All right, bam. Bring my opponent to 16. Cast Resto. Blink. And junk your tiny graveyard. We've got 6 power in play. Unholy Heat currently doesn't remove these creatures. We are in a much better position than last game, especially since we've got some burn that can go to the face, and we've got Prismatic Ending for the Druid as well. Yeah, things that don't impact the board are incredible for me right now. Preordain, sure. My opponent will cast that Preordain. I wonder if they're supposed to fetch first. 1 top, 1 bottom, so they take their redraw. Bobble me. And play draw was such a huge difference in this matchup. I got to like play Endurance under a counterspell, then my opponent did some stuff on their turn. I got to play Restoration Angel under a counterspell. And then my opponent didn't just get to sit back all game. Sure. This is 6 damage. Opponent's at 10. Go ahead and pass the turn. I don't think I'm firing off Lightning Bolt immediately, because sometimes that does just need to be a removal spell. Ooh. That's a Fury. And that's a Fury. Taking out Resto. And we'll go ahead and then take out the Fury. And fetch a land out of my deck. I think I'm going to leave the Jetmir's Garden in the deck so I could potentially cycle it. Love to draw a relevant spell. Thank you, Forest. So this is the part of the game where I start falling behind, because my opponent gets to untap with a hand of 7 cards. And they've got that Questing Druid, and presumably a fistful of counterspells. Yep. So we'll just kind of see how crazy this goes. All right. That's obviously bad. So now the board is cleared, and things highly favor my opponent. It's not what I want to see. Let's attempt to clear that and make the land drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lands here. We have drawn Restoration Angel and Endurance as our only real cards this match in terms of things that actually win the game. So I think at this point we're going to get just buried by counterspells and EI. Sure. Thank you, deck. Very cool. We'll grab a tapped land and pass. And we've just flooded out and lost this one. Fable of the Mirrorbreaker would help in these sorts of situations. I'm at 11. No follow-up. Cycle. It's a Tarmogoyf. I guess I'm just playing cards. I could wait and try to do 2 things in 1 turn cycle, but that is just more time for my opponent to find actual factual counterspell. So I think I'm just gonna play my stuff as I draw them. Ugh. Yeah, I think we're fully trying to slip through the cracks and get my opponent in a situation where they don't have the right situational counterspell or enough copies of actual counterspell. Because time is not something that I have. I mean, that's good. My opponent's got that stupid wizard counterspell, whatever it's called. And that card is good. Turns Golding. Yeah, that one. And they put a card on top, which means that they feel safe with the resources that they have. So that's probably GG. Either this turn through Lightning Bolt or next turn when I draw a land. This turn with a Lightning Bolt. We'll concede. And that is a 1-4 league. So, lessons learned from this league. Number 1, this card is not Renin 6. And I don't think this card is of an appropriate power level for Modern. Like, it is a +1, maybe draw a card, -2, maybe remove a creature. I don't like that. So I think this card fully has to go. Next up, Bonfire of the Damned. While it absolutely saved my ass a couple of times, I don't think is reasonable. I just want things that consistently remove my opponent's creatures to get me out of the early game. You don't need more late game, because this is insane as far as a late game package goes. So I would like to remove these 4 cards for more early game plays, be that interaction, extra copies of Renin 6, more removal, something like that. I want more exile-based removal, I think, either main deck or sideboard. I wanted to get to this stuff very badly. And it may be that some portion of this just gets replaced with Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, because even if you have to pay some mana to do so, that is a very strong effect. Like, Restoration Angel could somewhat reasonably become Fable of the Mirrorbreaker, or like some number of these plus a couple of Restoration Angels become more removal and Fable of the Mirrorbreaker. Solitude was cool and pretty reasonable, but we're very bad at pitch casting it. So I feel like this deck leaned too much into the end game and not enough into the early game, even with 8 mana accelerants. I will say, despite the fact that our games didn't go well and we ended 1-4, the deck wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. We played reasonable games of Magic the Gathering in every round, but I think our deck was just a little bit too clunky. Maybe we need some more sources of card advantage to keep up with, things like the One Ring. I think there is something here that can be a reasonable to good F&M level deck, but the consistency isn't there right now. But if you end up wanting to pick up some cards and try it out anyway, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order. And folks, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!